Idly ho and good morning, everybody. I have no idea how many of the names in the chat room are actual humans as opposed to bots, or I suppose bots who want to see me play this game. But if there's anybody sentient out there, hello! If you're in the US, happy Thanksgiving weekend. Basically, everyone is off work except for the poor people in retail. My sympathies go out to all of those people this weekend when all the big sales are running and consumers have absolutely lost their goddamn minds. I am at home, having had about 3 rounds of Thanksgiving dinner cooked by one of my housemates, the housemate under the stairs, otherwise known as Oddity on Fire, who was also on Twitch most nights if you want to check them out. We are going to get back to the bonus case on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Case 1-5, Rise from the Ashes. It's not my favorite case, but at least some of the voices are fun to do. This case was originally added on to the DS re-release of the game, so it is not written by the original scriptwriter, and it was not originally in the timeline. It serves to give some nice character moments and elucidate a few of the things that you hear about having happened in the year-long time skip between games 1 and 2. Basically, it's a little extra omake thing. It is canon, but don't take it too terribly seriously. If we would like to get started, I believe we left off last week when I was interrogating the Cough-Up Queen. My internet decided to flake out on me, and so I kind of gave up. I think we are at the end of Angel Star's interrogation? We'll find out when I hit continue, I guess. So what all have the rest of you been up to on this holiday weekend, at least in the US? Everybody else in the rest of the Earth, I'm sorry for the America-centric everything here, but I happen to live in America. It's a big place, and it kind of just seeps into your soul after you've been here a while. I was born here, fortunately or not, and it is still a reasonably nice place to live, especially where I am in an extremely blue state. The bluest end of the bluest state. It's kind of like living inside of a giant hula hoo. I am in the Boston metro area, which basically has a university every 50 feet on center as required by local regulations, so there's lots of smart people, a pretty fair amount of money, to the point where even though I, who am not particularly well off, get to do a lot of interesting things because the rich people have decided to fund them. And there's just generally a lot of stuff to do here, and most of it requires you to actually be curious about things, which is exactly my jam. I wind up playing a lot of these video games because I speak a billion languages. One of my pet peeves is stuff I can't read, so I just go and learn how to read them. This particular version of the Ace Attorney trilogy, actually, you can switch the language at the beginning of the game. I'm not sure if you can switch midstream. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, because it's just swapping out a lot of assets, but I don't know if they've set it up that way. Let me find my place in the walkthrough, which I am very definitely using because otherwise I would have no idea what I was doing in this particular case. I don't play 1.5 very much when I replay this thing because it's, again, not my favorite. You're in day 2 trial former. Okay, that's good to know. I think we are at the end. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Ah, yes. Angel Star hates prosecutors, and the defendant in this case is actually somebody in the prosecutor's office, a lady named Lana Star, Lana Sky. Her little sister Emma Sky has come to request Phoenix's help in this case. Emma is actually a recurring character in the series. She does carry through into the other games. You meet her... Do you meet her in games 2 and 3? You at least meet her in the Ace Attorney Investigation series, which timeline-wise takes place in between the 3rd and the 4th game. And she pops up later on in the second trilogy of games. She pops up in Apollo Justice's game, and in the other 2 games where Phoenix is the star, but Apollo is still a pretty significant player. She's amusing. Everything should be scientific, at least to her point of view. We have just gotten testimony from Angel, demolished the testimony from Angel. She was not watching the crime from where she said she was watching the crime from. She was busy visiting one of her innumerable boyfriends up in the security booth. There was an unexplained 5-minute gap where she could not have been looking at the crime scene because she had to run all the way around to the other side of the parking lot to jump the chain link fence to catch Lana in what she said was the midst of committing this crime. And now she's angry at me, the defense, in addition to being generally angry at the prosecution at all times. She was very displeased, and now the judge is taking a chunk out of her in addition to Phoenix. Yeah, the cough-up queen's not happy. She works as a lunch lady, apparently, which is a great place to pick up gossip, I guess. I can see it. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. Angel is a previous homicide detective who was fired for reasons we have not yet figured out. We did it! We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright! That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Oh, really? I was 2 lines from actually hitting a nice stopping play. Alright, well. Hold it! Or not. Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off on me. I prefer to not take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. I'm pretty sure there's a Steam achievement for getting all of her trick lunchboxes. I don't know if I got it last time. We'll find out. Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple-decker! Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she gonna pull out of her lunchbox this time? Alright, decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. What? There was blood found on that shoe? Try Lunchland for all of your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Alright, so we've got a shoe in the court record now. Excellent. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine this witness. Alright. Yeah, you should have mentioned this thing. Flawless decisive evidence. I would like to question that. Can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Huh? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some, like your client. She's in hot enough water to make a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? If I'm not imagining things, I'd say there's one critical problem with this evidence. A clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes. You're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now. But you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? Show us the problem with this evidence. Alright. Well... I wonder if you noticed. There's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. It makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about blood on the bottom of his shoe? The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Ah! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order! 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 Well, witness? What? Huh. Right going, Mr. Wright, but... It's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh. That's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There's one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that, I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory. Witness! Well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright? Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason? Aha! You don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over the oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. Wah! That ties things up quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoe tie her quite clearly to this murder. Then, after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs. Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty. Erasing evidence. That reminds me, Ms. Skye's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe? Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial. Mr. Wright, do something, please! What? What can I do? Your sister's confessed to the crime, and she tried to conceal it. But... Enough. There's no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. But Angel Star's on the prosecution side. She could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye. Little girl, what did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you just say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution side? Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well, I thought you'd had your fill, but here you are demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox? A lunchbox called evidence. Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else. The time for deliberations is past. Any further comments and you'll be held in contempt of court. Your threats don't scare the cop up, Queen. Look at this. A photograph? I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim. I see no room for error in this evidence. Mr. Wright, wait! Look at the asphalt in his photo! Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia. Right, wet or not. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Get yourself up off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time, I'd like to declare a verdict for good. Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait? No, it can't. Then it'll be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah! think later. Yeah, there's a problem! Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem in this photograph. What's this thingy? Come on. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? Something poking out of the car's muffler. Hey, hello Emily0525. I am actually doing great. I've had my third round of Thanksgiving for breakfast, and I am working my way through case 1-5 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. How are you doing? We have just turned things around on the Kaffa Queen for like the third time. She's incredibly mad at us. Edgeworth is now kind of curious about what we think we found. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor? You just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photo. A muffler is also a part of on a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system. A pipe. I see, and, I see. What's that suspicious-looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? So what if there is something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing! Absolutely nothing. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. What? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler is related to this case. Well... Ms. Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler. Arrgh! Yargh! Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Oh! Yeah! Well, it seems we'll have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed? I suppose so. Whew. That was close. But we made it. At least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? To be continued. Yes, please save my progress. Oh my god. Alright. Lunchtime recess at court. Oof.
Mr. Wright,
Huh? What?
are trials always like this with you? Like you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake, about to reach the surface. But no matter how hard you paddle, you never seem to get there.
Pretty much. Except today we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister anyway?
Apparently she got called off to the judge's chambers.
Huh. Probably something to do with that piece of cloth.
So, this is where we turn this trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth.
I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell the truth. Hello, partner. They say you show a red cloth to a bull, it'll fire up its temper. That's what they told me when I was a young'un, at least.
Officer Marshall!
Thought I'd come take a look-see at how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. They've got the home ranch locked down tighter than a fort in enemy territory. That hard to slip out, huh? What is going on over there anyway? All the police I've seen these last 2 days have been really on edge. Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example.
Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf.
You don't say. Now don't that just beat all? I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck many a time. Saw it that day, too. She was wearing a red muffler.
What?
At the awards ceremony that afternoon. Edgeworth seen it too, I reckon. What does that mean? In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf.
So, Miss Starr wasn't mistaken.
Well, it's about time. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns. And sometimes you just gotta let that bull go where it will. Time will tell. I have a bad feeling about this.
So, what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright?
If it's steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Hooey!
Alright, back into court we go.
I'd like to resume? What's up? The judge keeps looking over at the prosecution. Is something wrong, Mr. Edgeworth? Your face is blue, your lips are purple, you're sweating bullets. That furrowed brow, those grinding teeth, those watery eyes. What's more, your eyes are unfocused, you're doubled over, your back is bent. It can't be. This can't happen!
I wonder what happened to Mr. Edgeworth.
Well then, I believe it is time we continued on with this trial. During our recess, I had requested that the prosecution conduct an investigation. This is unacceptable! It seems our prosecutor is quite beside himself. Excuse me? Knock knock? Who's there? What's with this guy? Strange, stuffy aura seems to be filling the courtroom.
Hey, the temperature rose 5.7 degrees when that man came in.
Who on earth is he? Ah, it's Hugh. Sorry I'm late, Aji. The roads were packed. It's just me.
Long time no see, eh, Aji?
How you been? Swim much these days? Hello. No, I've been so busy.
Busy, busy, smizzy, Udgy, my boy. You have to make time to relax.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Udgy seems to be his nickname for the judge?
I'm afraid you're right. Very afraid. Sorry, but who are you?
So you're Righto, the attorney. I've heard good things about you, son.
Thanks?
So sorry about our little worthy giving you all that trouble, eh? You know, we should all go swimming together sometime. Jolly!
Little worthy? Mr. Wright, you don't know the district chief of police? Chief of police? He's the top-ranking police officer in the entire district.
Name's Gant Damon Gant. Pleased to meet you, everyone.
So, to what do we owe this honor today? It's been over 2 years since you last came to this courtroom, hasn't it?
Well, it's worthy here. Look at the poor fellow. I just thought I'd help out by bringing this. Hey, that's my sister's muffler.
So Miss Star wasn't just seeing things. When the crime occurred, Miss Guy really was wearing that muffler.
But to think it was stuffed into that exhaust pipe. Whew. On little Worthy's car, no less.
It's really quite embarrassing, even for us. What's this? It's what you'd call a switchblade knife. Quite perplexing, this.
Chief, what kind of outfit are you running? Mr. Edgeworth, how could they miss such a vital piece of evidence? If your investigators are this lax, how do you expect us to do our job? Now, wait a minute, Worthy.
I've no desire to hear your excuses.
I'm telling you to wait. Or didn't you hear me? Have a look at this document where it says person in charge of investigation. There's no mistaking that signature, is there, Miles Edgeworth?
It's not fair. On the day of the crime, I had...
Your head in the clouds because you got that award. I know how you feel. But you're the person in charge. I'll expect a written apology.
What? Are you serious?
Don't be too upset. We'll find a way to clean up this mess that you made. This is the first time I've seen Mr. Edgeworth at a loss for words.
This kind of major blunder is unlike you, Mr. Edgeworth. The court accepts this new evidence, but I'd like to ask the defense a favor first.
Yes?
Just to be sure, I'd like to take a look at this the blade of this knife.
The blade, Your Honor? Well, I don't see why not.
Would you open it up for me, I wonder?
Yes.
Well, I think all you have to do is push that switch, and if I cut my finger, Mr. Wright, I wouldn't be able to pound my gavel anymore. Yeah, but if I cut my finger, I wouldn't be able to point it at people anymore.
Come on, just hurry up and open it. What? Don't scare me like that.
I'm the one who's scared.
Look at this knife blade. The tip is broken off.
And this dark red stain. Blood? Alright, so we have a broken switchblade added to the court record now. This does not excuse the actions of the police department. I would like to hear an explanation from the chief of police himself. I'm terribly sorry, but could I ask you to testify for us about the split between the prosecutors and the police, and this knife? Sure thing, not a problem, not even a little one, really. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Unless there's evidence to prove a connection between this knife and Goodman. It was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department, see? Oh, what a mess. The time of the crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence, eh? It's not officially linked to this here case, so I can't talk much about it. There was a murder at the police department? A detective? That's hush-hush information, Aji. We haven't exactly announced it yet. Wait a second. You said 5:15. That's the exact time that Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office. Order! 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 Anyway, we at the department were all flustered, as you might well assume. We're in the middle of a top secret investigation. Don't tell anyone, okay? I think we understand the police department situation. Well, Mr. Wright, 2 detectives killed at the same time in 2 different places.
The chances of that are really slim. Scientifically speaking, of course.
I'd like to exercise my right to cross-examine the witness. Very well. However, keep your questions focused on the case at hand. Unless there's evidence to prove a connection between this knife and Goodman, I'm pretty sure there is. See, we thought it said 6-7S122. But this case takes place in February, doesn't it? Late February. They keep giving us the ticker, the date time ticker. I bet if we turn this upside down... I mean, this game is turnabout court after all. Gyakuten means to flip something over, to invert it, to turn it on its head. So, let's give it a shot. Wait a second. At last, an honest-to-goodness objection! This knife. This has to have something to do with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? Honest-to-goodness, what do you mean, Pamaji? This is great. Look at the tag on this knife. It reads SL92. And this is important. Why? Over here we also have a memo that was on the body of the victim. What's this? 6-7S12/2? Your Honor, it's upside down. Upside? The printed name on the memo makes it look like it's right side up. But turn it around, and what do you get? Aha! Whoever wrote this note was holding the paper upside down. SL9. That's the same thing that's written on the knife's tag. Order! Order! Well, Chief? Oh well. I guess the cat's out of the bag. You win, righto! I win? What game is this guy playing? This knife was evidence in a case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. I want to know more about that. So this knife was stolen. Oh yes, but on the day of the murder. It was evidence, you say. Was it in fact a murder weapon? Nice! Good show, little worthy. It was a murder weapon as it happens. It was evidence from a case long since solved. So this knife was stolen on the day of the murder. And it was found in the exhaust pipe of Edgeworth's car.
Hard to think there isn't a connection there.
That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department, see? Oh, what a mess. Let's hear more about this then. On the same day that a detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department. That's a fact! Surprising, isn't it, Aji? I'm at a loss for words. And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. Just arrested? That was quick. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe you could help, Righto. I suppose I could help if you help me by giving me data on your case.
Ooh, good one. This kid's sharp.
Okay, here's the deal. I'll tell you one thing and one thing only. Oh, what do we want to know? Where the victim was found, how the victim was killed, or when the victim died. We know when the victim died. He said the murder took place at 5:15. How the victim was killed. Let's go with where the victim was found. So tell me, where was the victim found? Well, I can't speak on where the corpse was found. But I can say the crime took place in the evidence room at the police department. The evidence room? Wait a second. I've heard of that.
The evidence room. Didn't he mention that in his testimony just now?
This knife was evidence in a case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. There's the connection between the two cases.
You seem happy, Mr. Wright.
Happy? We just got handed our ticket to go to town on this case. With the link between the two cases established, we finally have some leverage. Now we can get Gant to testify about the details. It is officially linked to this case, though. Chief, the defense's position is simply this. The connection between these two cases has already been proven. Heh, you don't say. Well, out with it, Righto. What's your connection? Yes, out with it, Mr. Wright. The connection is a place mentioned in the testimony we just heard. The knife found in the lot was stolen from the police department's evidence room. Not to mention the victim had on him the case number on the knife's evidence tag. And we also know that the detective murdered at the police department was killed in that very same evidence room. Indeed, there do seem to be too many connections for it to be a coincidence. You two make a good pair. It took my men 2 days to find out what you deduced right here. Chief, I request that you release your information on the victim at the police department. See, that's the tricky part. It hasn't been announced yet and all. Can we get the information unofficially? Sure. Why not? It's unofficial after all. What? Really?
Who would have guessed?
I'll cooperate, but I can't reveal the name of the victim at the department, okay? 2 detectives were killed at 5:15. One at the prosecutor's office, and one at the police department. It can't be a coincidence.
And that knife! What was it doing there?
We better check this knife out. Mm-mm. Well, okay, what can you tell us? If you're gonna tell us a little, why not tell us everything? Well, case information is sticky stuff. You have to do everything properly. Oh well, I guess I might as well try to get what I can out of him. Okay, how about you tell me the victim's ID number? Hmm? Sure, why not? It's not like you'll be able to tell who it is from that. Of course not. You won't tell me their name after all. We keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't go getting your hopes up. The number is 5842189. Oh, that's quite long. And we have to remember these. It drives me nuts. 8, 2... I can't do it. You didn't even get the first number right. Well, Mr. Wright, does this tell you anything? The ID number of the victim at the police department. 5842189. Actually, it does, Your Honor. It does! I think! Meaning... has to be what I think it is. But what does this mean? Well, let's hear what the defense has to say. You say the ID number of the detective who was murdered at the police department tells you something. What does it tell you? Yeah, it tells me this. Witness. What is it, Mr. Wright? You're grinning like a schoolgirl on prom night. No, it's just, yeah, I got confused. And this is news? Huh? Just come out with both guns blazing like you always do. Police department, the prosecutor's office. 2 places, 2 detectives murdered at one time. Actually, I happen to have a police ID number here. Oh, is it yours? No, Your Honor. I'm a defense attorney, remember? This is the ID number of our victim, Detective Goodman. Shame on you, Righto! Personnel IDs are top secret! Detective Goodman's ID number is 5842189. And this means what, exactly? Huh? Wait, that ID number we heard from the chief earlier. That started with a 2... I've forgotten. You didn't even get the first number right! Again! The number the chief of police gave us was 5842189. Wait a second, Wright. What does this mean? That's what I want to know. The 2 ID numbers are identical. In other words, the detective killed in the police department's evidence room was Bruce Goodman. What does our witness think about that? Sharp as a tack, Righto! Sharp as a tack! But wait, Detective Goodman is our victim. He was killed at 5:15 in the underground parking lot. Yet a Detective Bruce Goodman was also killed at the police department, in the evidence room, at the exact same time. That's impossible. So what we're saying is, the same person was killed at the same time, and in a completely different location. Order! 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 Chief! What does this mean? No. What I want to know is, why didn't I hear about this? Yes, it's top secret, fine, but I'm the prosecutor in charge of the case. Now just wait a second, Worthy. No need to get all flustered. Your Honor, the police department has made a grave error in this case. Wait. I said wait. Or didn't you hear me? The oversight, the grave error, Mr. Edgeworth. They're yours. What? How dare? We informed you yesterday. I believe it was our Officer Meekins who brought you that news. Officer Meekins.
Mr. Wright, where have we heard that name before?
Wait, excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth, anyone on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir. You don't mean him. According to Meekins, you didn't accept the report. Hard to believe. But your officer, he told me. He said that report had nothing to do with the Lana Sky incident. Detective Bruce Goodman, murdered in the police department evidence room. Mr. Edgeworth, the victim's name is written right on the top of the report. Why didn't your officer tell me?
Honestly, I'm not sure if that officer was capable of making the connection. He did seem challenged.
In any case, this is a serious error, a gross negligence of duty on your part, Worthy. But, sir, you could have submitted that report this morning to the court as evidence. Then No such luck this time, Worthy. Or should I say, unworthy. What? Now, what was the second rule of evidence law?
Well, Mr. Wright?
Huh? Oh, well, it's, Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And how is this rule relevant? Normally, you submit a list of evidence to be used in court before the trial. This report wasn't on that list. So, what does this mean? You couldn't submit this evidence until a connection was proven in court. The connection was just proven by Wright over here. Good job, Wright, my boy! Huh? I was just doing my job. No. No! Edgeworth is not having a good day today. I mean, Edgeworth doesn't usually have a good day in court with Phoenix, but he's really not having a good day today. It seems we have come to the end of this trial. I know you're going through a tough time, Worthy, what with all those rumors. You were even in the defendant's chair just this past December. I apologize for this terrible lack of due diligence on my part. Mr. Edgeworth, please just give me one day. I'll get to the bottom of what happened, if it's the last thing I do. You'd better get results this time. Really. You have my profound apologies, sir.
Or Mr. Edgeworth.
I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. I will grant one further day as the prosecution has requested. Will that be sufficient, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Whatever your punishment for this is, for your sake, I hope it's not decisive. Very well. Court is adjourned. To be continued. Well, Edgeworth is having a really rubbish day. I do kind of get the feeling he's been set up, though, don't you? I mean, he's usually really on top of things. Sending Meekins was kind of a dirty move. You know. I mean, nobody listens to Meekins about literally anything. He also reoccurs later in the series, and again, he's kind of useless in a very flaily, shouty way. But, you know, such is Phoenix's luck. February 23rd, next day, 2:15 p.m., Wright and Company Law Offices.
Mr. Wright, so what's going on with the case anyway? I'm a little confused.
Huh? Let's see. What is going on? The victim, Detective Bruce Goodman, was stabbed to death after 5 p.m. on the 21st. He died in the prosecutor's parking lot and the police department's evidence room.
What's this and the evidence room part? The prosecutor's office and the police department are 30 minutes apart by car.
Well, that's what we're gonna find out. Or try to, at least.
Alright, let's do it.
Glad she's in good spirits, but I'm not sure she's gonna be much help with this.
Don't be so sure, Mr. Wright.
Huh?
Look, we're in this together, right? I'll prove that these thick-rimmed glasses of mine aren't just for show. Let's go. Science awaits us.
Emma, if you didn't catch last time, is determined to become a forensic investigator. She's okay at it. She's just a little bit enthusiastic. And she doesn't really grow out of it. Those of you who have also played Apollo Justice Ace Attorney will note that that little button on the front of her coat reappears on Phoenix's beanie later. So, cute little joke there. Prosecutor's office, underground parking lot.
You know, I really don't think we should worry about the police department murder. There wasn't even a body found there. Who cares?
Yeah, it was only our victim who was killed in their evidence room, no biggie.
Besides, my sister would never do such a thing. I know it.
That oil drum, was it empty? The oil drum, kicked over by the chief prosecutor, was brimming with water.
My sister, erasing evidence at the crime scene? Never!
Even though she says they don't get along, Emma really likes her sister.
It's not it at all. It's just... we're both professionals at what we do, and I trust her.
Big words for a high school student.
Well, whether there was blood on the floor or not...
Or the water in that oil drum washed it all away.
Ignore the strength of my science at your own peril, Mr. Wright.
Huh? What's that grin for?
This situation calls for one thing, and that is... luminol testing fluid.
Luminol is in fact a real thing, and it is used for exactly what Emma's about to use it for. It's really cool stuff, and perhaps most amusingly, it is completely uncontrolled, and you can buy it on Amazon. Don't drink it. It's not great for you, but last I checked, $25 will get you a nice little spray bottle of it. It'll test for mostly blood, but it also reacts with a variety of other substances, including, inconveniently enough for real-life crime scenes, bleach. So, you can test for relatively invisible bloodstains, or you can test for somebody having cleaned up the relatively invisible bloodstains, but it also reacts to basically anything that has been bleached. I think it's an oxidation reaction. Anyway, Emma will show us how it works. Luminol.
Blood is sticky stuff, you know. You can't just wash it away with a little water. Even if you can't see it, it's still there.
Well, wouldn't the police have already done those tests?
Never trust anyone's eyes but your own, Mr. Wright. Just give it a try.
Me? Why do I have to do it?
It's minor. I can't even drink yet.
We're testing bloodstains with this stuff, not drinking it.
Here, look. I'll lend you these glasses.
Huh? You got an extra pair of those things?
To test for a blood reaction, just spray the luminol on it. Like this, see? Press enter to spray it on. Okay, let's find us some bloodstains.
Hey, here's something. I can see her eyes shining behind those glasses. So is this a bloodstain?
It's so...
Emma, you're shaking.
It's just... this is my first time seeing real blood.
Scientific investigation in action.
Okay, well, We definitely know that this is a bloodstain. But doesn't something strike you as odd? Scientifically speaking, of course.
What's odd about this, scientifically? The perpetrator and Detective Goodman fought here, right? Don't you think there'd be a little more blood?
I definitely think so. I mean, look at all the blood on the sole of the victim's shoe.
It is pretty strange. If they fought here, there'd have to have been more blood than this.
Hey, Mr. Wright? I'm gonna mark up the floor plans when we find a bloodstain, okay? See, I'm pretty handy to have around, right?
Yeah. And this stuff's pretty handy, too.
I saved up my allowance to buy that.
Luminol testing fluid received from one very proud-looking Emma Sky.
We can't be sure that the police will reveal all their evidence in court. Sometimes they fail to mention evidence that doesn't fit with their view of the case.
Then let's drag that hidden evidence out into the light of day.
Yeah! Feels like we're really investigating a crime now, doesn't it?
Guess I should give this a spray on anything suspicious. Ha! I wonder how that fluid of yours would react to a nice deli box.
Miss Starr!
You only trust your own eyes, hmm? Not bad, you two. This day-old deli box is on the house. Sorry, it's just that kind of lead-in doesn't really get my mouth watering. You certainly put me in a tight spot today. My apologies, Miss Starr, but no, it's okay. It was my fault.
Oh, we know.
I witnessed everything from that security room right there. But I was afraid that wouldn't sound convincing enough, you see? I was wrong to think that. I'm sorry.
Sorry? You lied on the witness stand. That's unforgivable.
Little girl, don't forget what's important here. Even if the place I witnessed the events from was different, I still saw what I saw. I saw Chief Prosecutor Sky stab a man in cold blood, and that testimony still stands. I swear it on my honor as a detective. She stabbed Goodman. I know this photograph has something important to tell us, but what?
So, you were a detective, weren't you, Miss Starr?
Yes, it was a long time ago. Well, 2 years ago. No matter how hardened the criminal, when they faced me, they coughed it up. Coughed it up? They confessed. They babbled like babies. You know, I may seem like a demon sometimes, but I can be an angel too. I wouldn't doubt it. Every day I dragged the dirt out of the mouths of suspect after suspect, and before long they called me the cough-up queen.
Oh, and here I thought someone had gotten food poisoning from your lunches.
And you were let go? Fired? I felt that I'd found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if these prim and proper prosecutors hadn't let me go, I'd still be one today. It's all because of that case. The SL9 incident. SL9? Oh wait, she doesn't mean.
What do you think about this?
The SL9 incident. It's written on that knife. And on that note. Goodman was the head detective on that case, you know.
Really?
That knife was evidence from that case. The murder weapon. It was due for transferal the very day that Goodman was killed. As I suspected,
SL9 isn't over. Not yet.
Do you think you could tell us more about the SL9 incident? Anything new here? No, nothing new. Alright. What do I need to show you now?
I had one of those up until 2 years ago. Back when you were the Koffel Queen, right?
We found this ID card here in the parking lot. Well, there's no mistaking that. It's definitely Goodman's. But it's the same ID as the man who was killed at the police department. That's impossible. I wish I could be so sure. Let's ask you about this. If you think about it, I could have taken that picture from the guard room. But even I get flustered sometimes. So you went straight to the scene of the crime. I rushed towards the chain link fence in an effort to stop the murder. That's when I took this photo, yes.
In other words, 5 minutes after the crime.
Those 5 minutes are the whole problem. The hole in my testimony, as it were.
The 5 minutes weren't the problem, Miss Star. You lying was the problem.
Listen, little girl. I've had my testimony disregarded before. And I wasn't going to have it disregarded again. Just like that time. That time? That incident really opened up my eyes to the truth. We're nothing to them. Disposable.
Disposable? To who?
2 years ago, it was the biggest case I'd ever handled. The police and the prosecutors were desperate for decisive evidence.
So, they didn't solve it?
On the contrary, it was solved quite cleanly. The criminal was caught and executed. Executed? Yes, the criminal got what was coming to him. It doesn't get any cleaner than that. The only problem was, they never did find decisive evidence. Not a shred. What? But the criminal was executed, right? On the basis of evidence of a sort. Made up evidence.
What? You mean they executed someone with fabricated evidence?
The best part came several months after the trial. Every detective involved with the case was dealt with. Some were demoted to patrolmen. Others found themselves out of a job.
And you were one of those?
Myself and one other person you know well. Wait, could it be... Exactly. Detective Jake Marshall. Oops. I mean, Police Department Security Detail Officer Jake Marshall. As professional detectives, we investigated that case from every angle. Jake was particularly determined. And then, it was over, and he was demoted. However, he hasn't forgotten, and neither have I. You haven't forgotten SL9? There was another side to that case, a hidden side. That's what we're after now. And no one up in their fancy offices can stop us.
Wait! Those lunches you sell.
There's only one reason I come to sell lunches in this accursed office. I come here to meet old friends. Boyfriends that can help me investigate. Miss Star's old boyfriends. How many does she have, anyway? Just when all the detectives on SL9 disappeared, we find new evidence.
There has to be a connection.
So, Rookie. What? Seems like you're serious about investigating this case. Yes. Then you should take this. A Salisbury steak lunch? I know a certain guy who might help you if you tempt him with this treat.
Miss Dar? Officer Marshall, is he your, are you his... Are you going out?
What do you want to know?
I was just wondering what happened to him. A long time ago, when he was helping my sister do cases, he was so nice. He got along so well with my sister, it made me jealous. And he was nice to me too back then.
This would be when Officer Marshall was a detective.
But now he's so cold.
Jake and I are merely cooperating on this investigation. We're putting the past to rest, as it were. Nothing more than that.
I see. Thank you.
Officer Jake Marshall, huh? Alright. Well, we have a nice lunch for Officer Marshall. Let's see what he'll give us for it. It's even busier here today than it was yesterday.
The detectives are running around so fast they're blurring.
I suppose it makes sense. The detective did get killed here after all.
So, the evidence room, the scene of the crime. According to the pamphlet we got at the front desk, here it is.
It's like a kid at an amusement park.
Ooh, a real crime scene. Let's go take a look.
Gee, I wonder who's in charge here. What's with the decor in this place? It's very, eccentric.
According to the pamphlet, this is the guard station for the evidence room.
So beyond that door is the evidence room, the scene of the crime.
It sure seems that way. Oh.
What's wrong?
It's those cacti. They're so prickly, so imposing. It's hard to think straight.
You can't handle the cacti, stay out of the desert. What I want to know is, if this is a guard station, where's the guard?
I have a feeling I know who he is already.
Well, can we get in? The evidence room is beyond that door.
Let's just walk in. It won't open.
You thought it'd be open? I think we'd need someone's permission to go in there first. This place is charged with frantic energy, as always. Sweet.
Huh, wasn't that?
One steak lunch, please! Oh, it's you. Detective Gumshoe. Now's no time for chit-chat, pal. I'm a busy man. What I really need is a steak lunch from Lunchland.
Oh, you mean one of these? Actually, it's not for sale.
I think I just heard the sound of his heart breaking. Now's no time for despair. We've caught our criminal. Now we just need evidence. The criminal? You mean... You heard about the stabbing in the police department evidence room, right, pal? On the same day that a detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department. And the perpetrator. Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. It's the biggest scandal that hit the station in ages. Everything's topsy-turvy. But Detective Gumshoe, who was it? Listen, pal, all I know is I need me a steak lunch pronto. Standing around here talking isn't gonna fill my belly.
Wait, don't leave!
You wanna know more? Head on down to the detention center, pal. questioning should be over, so I figure he's down there having a good cry. Later!
He ran off to the evidence room.
Well, this investigation is off to a running start. Alright, well. Actually. Let's examine a bit, shall we? Where's the luminol? Can I do this? Someone used a marker to write their name on this. Emma Sky. Don't tell me you bring this with you everywhere you go.
Well, you never know when something might go down.
What kind of a world do you think we live in? Alright, theoretically, in one of these ports, there is a way to spray luminol on the top of this cactus.
Yipes, these sure are prickly. They must be the real deal.
I would think just one big one would be sufficient.
These cacti are a lot like my sister, actually.
How so?
Encased in a cold, rigid shell with spines pointing in every direction. Just like her.
I'm not so sure I see the resemblance.
It's more an attitude thing than a physical similarity.
No, I guess we can't do it in this version. In theory, you can pick up an achievement for finding bloodstains on one of these guys. Somebody apparently touched it a little too enthusiastically. Oh well. Off to... I think we have to go through the law offices. Move to the detention center. Here we go.
Still, I do feel better about things. A little. I mean, they caught the person who stabbed Detective Goodman, didn't they?
Yeah, I guess they did. Best not to go too far down that road right now. Things will just get confusing.
What was that?
Sir! That's what I'm saying! Me? A perpetrator? I'd say I was the perpetrator again, sir! That's what I'd say! Hi! Greetings, sir! The little red thing that he keeps holding out in front of him is, it's a good luck charm. They're called omamori in Japan. It just means a protector. You can buy them at shrines and stuff. They usually have a little message in kanji on the back, you know, protecting against things. I think the one I've seen the most of is protection against, like, is good luck for studying for a test and protection against traffic jams or traffic accidents. But yeah, you're supposed to be able to buy them for good luck. Clearly Meekins isn't working.
Wait, I know who you are.
Excuse me, but is Mr. Edward, anyone on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir.
Officer Meekins. So you're a guard here at the detention center?
No, sir. I'm not, sir. I'm a little lost patrolman like a little lost lamb, sir.
Oh, I get it. You're here to deliver a report?
No, sir. How should I say this? Wait. Oh, he isn't. Is he? You, Officer Meekins, you didn't, did you? Perpetrator Officer Meekins reporting, sir!
What?
What? Oh, now this is an unexpected turn of events. Sir! I'm a patrolman with General Gas, sir! Sir! Oh, I can hear you fine, Officer Meekins. I had some business that day, sir, and so I went to the evidence room, sir. The guard station in front of the room was empty, sir.
So normally there's a guard at the evidence room.
That's right, sir, because evidence is kept in the evidence room, sir. Now the security officer was none other than Officer Marshall.
And, sir, I happened to glance at the security room monitor. That's when I saw him, sir. A suspicious person in the evidence room. A suspicious person, sir. A suspicious person! Yeah!
What the heck is this guy doing?
So what happened then?
After that, sir, everything went white. I saw red. I blacked out. And when I came to, I was here, in the detention center.
How long were you out? Days?
Might I ask, what happened to your hand?
Sir, there was no one to bandage me, sir. So I did what I could to wrap it up, sir.
A bandage on his hand. Just like Miss Sky.
Yet another similarity between this case and the one at the prosecutor's office.
First things first. Tell us how you hurt your hand. Like, about your hand. Did that happen during the course of the crime?
Well, you see, sir,
Don't you think you should just confess?
but there was nothing I could do.
Nothing you could do?
Sir, to tell the truth, sir, when it happened, when the detective pointed that knife at me, I just hollered, sir. And the next thing I knew, I was unconscious.
Next thing you knew, you were... Huh?
Then, when I opened my eyes, I was alone in the evidence room, sir. All alone. Alone because Detective Goodman had disappeared.
What?
Then when I looked down, I was gushing blood from my hand, sir. Oh, the shock! Oh, the sorrow, sir! Can you imagine how I felt?
The victim's body disappeared?
Some story.
I don't mean to pry, but you are the perpetrator, correct? You killed Detective Bruce Goodman in the evidence room, right?
Sir, please don't look at me with those sad puppy dog eyes, sir. If you have to label me as perpetrator or victim, sir, then label me victim.
I would, but you happen to be in detention. And alive and well at that.
Ah, yes, well, that's true, sir. I suppose you could say that.
Did you know the victim, Detective Goodman?
Well, sir, if I had to label him as a stranger or a total stranger, then I'd say he leans heavily on the total stranger side.
So you didn't know him?
Sir, I work in a tiny department devoid of light or other creature comforts. I don't know any detectives.
So if he was a total stranger, why did you stab him?
Sir, I had no intention of killing him, sir. None. Nor do I have any recollection of killing him, sir.
At least someone around here is more confused than I am. Look, okay.
Do you think you could take a look at this?
Hey! That's it, sir. That's it. That's it.
That's what?
My head was a blank until this very moment. But, sir, now I remember. I remember, sir.
You mean you remember what happened?
Correct. That card was the cause of it all.
This ID card?
Exactly, sir. That's exactly it. Nothing could be more exact, sir. Nothing.
Better pry into this one a little deeper. Can you tell me what it is you do remember?
Well, sir, you might say I'm a lost little patrolman. A lost little lamb, if you will. I didn't know Mr. Detective Goodman, who was in the evidence room.
And that's why you thought he looked suspicious?
Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to show me his ID card.
Well, that sounds pretty much by the book so far.
That's right, sir. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do?
That's the thing. Suddenly he pointed a knife at me.
What?
you I was as flustered as you are right now. So I whooped and I laughed at him.
Detective Goodman pointed a knife at him?
Do unto others before they do unto you! My own father's words, sir!
What happened then?
Well, my eyes, sir, everything went white. When I woke, I was here.
Right.
So, Officer Meekins, why was it that they arrested you?
What do you mean, Emma?
Well, let's look at what we know. Now, Officer Meekins didn't know Detective Goodman. And the victim, whom he met at the scene of the crime, didn't show his ID card.
In other words, we have no way of knowing if the victim was really the victim.
And if this body just disappeared from the evidence room, we don't even know if anyone actually died.
That's it, sir! That's what I wanted to say! That is, I did say something along those lines.
Huh? But you still ended up here?
They told me that it had to be him, sir. On that day, at that time. Detective Goodman was definitely in the evidence room. That's what they said.
But you don't remember the events clearly?
No, but the videotape is quite clear.
Huh? Videotape?
From the security camera. The crime! My crime! The crime I swore to stamp out! It's there! It's me! It's on tape!
And you waited until now to tell us this?
I'm sorry, really sorry, sir. I'll hand over my badge. I don't deserve it.
No thanks. I have my own. Well, I guess we'd better go check out the crime scene. Alright, well.
Hey, Mr. Wright! Look who's standing at the Chief of Detectives desk.
It's Police Chief Gant. And you're sure this is all, hmm? You know what it means if there's anything missing. Sir, I'm sure it's most likely totally perfect. We checked all of his drawers, lockers, garbage cans, bags, coat pockets, hats, under his seat cushion, behind his computer monitor, inside his personal coffee machine. I see. Well, if anything does turn up, you call me right away. Deal? Yes, sir! We'll scour the place again, sir. Chief of Detectives looks a little flustered. Righto, my boy! How you been? Swim much? Oh ho ho, Chief Gant! Reporting for duty, sir!
Why are you saluting him, Mr. Wright?
Is Edgeworth gonna be okay? Oh, were they? Oh, you know, they're doing a little inquiry committee with him.
Sounds like an inquisition.
Yep, well, they've had no end of trouble with the boy since last year. You mean the incident on Gourd Lake? It doesn't look good having a top prosecutor sit in the defendant's seat, does it? And you got someone else found guilty in that case, right, Ryder? On Karma. A legend he was, undefeated in his 40-year career. But in court, you fixed it so he was caught for forging evidence. What? Wait, I didn't do anything wrong. He did forge evidence. In any case, the prosecutor's office is in a bit of turmoil, you might say. Why, they do just about anything to restore their reputation. Now, depending on what that inquiry committee decides, it could be bad for Worthy.
What?
It's downright odd, I tell you, that detective getting killed on their turf, too, I mean. They're being the prosecutors, I assume?
Scientifically speaking, it's impossible.
Yes, but that's what the evidence is saying. Goodman was stabbed in 2 locations at the same time. That's what it says. What evidence is this? No, Righto, I can't give away all our secrets just like that. And this in particular, well, it's a little sensitive and I can't talk about it. I wasn't expecting much anyway.
You know, one thing I hate most of all is hiding stuff. Secrets. Can't stand them.
But you know, it's a full-time job just keeping the chief of detectives' trap shut.
Oh, he was the one you were picking on earlier.
Huh? Oh, you saw that? Whoops! I wonder what it was that he wanted the chief of detectives to do.
See if we can kind of discreetly ask him.
Well, Chief of D's is in the back of the room usually. Yep, here's the poor guy. Oh, sorry you had to see that.
What exactly did the chief of police want you to do?
Well, see over there? That's Goodman's desk. He wanted me to check it for anything that might be a clue. They took away every last piece of garbage in the trash can.
So nothing belonging to Detective Goodman is still here?
Of course not. Well, except for this.
What? You kept something?
Sure, why not? It's not important. He didn't even finish writing it. It's a lost item report, but it's only half complete.
A lost item? Did Detective Goodman lose something?
The date on it is February 21st. Better make a note of that just in case. I should really get back to investigating the police department crime scene. Actually, we probably need permission to go in there. There we go. Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. I never thought the day would come when Wright asked me for help. I was wondering if we could investigate the evidence room? Now, righto. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't need to investigate after all. Righto, please. Do I look like a selfish man? Huh? If anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50? I'd give them $50, no problem. So go ahead, investigate that room to your heart's content. Knock yourself out.
It just goes to show you never know until you ask.
And for you here, you can borrow this.
Huh? Hey! Well, this is the detective's ID card, isn't it?
That's a special card for guests, so don't lose it.
Yes, sir. It's an honor.
You just run along and do your best now. Later, folks.
It looks pretty cool on my lapel, doesn't it? Just think, a real ID.
You seem happy.
Yes, sir. Because, sir, we get to go into the evidence room now, sir.
I think this place is a bad influence on the girl. Alright. The evidence room is beyond that door.
And we have the ID card from Chief Gant. Let's just walk in. It won't open.
Aha! The card reader's turned off, see?
What is that security guard thinking?
Howdy, partners. Well, well, what's made my Bambina's sky so gray? Officer Marshall! Why does it have to be him? What's that? Why does it have to be him look for? As you may have surmised, this here's my saloon.
We're here to investigate the crime scene.
Yeehaw! That card you got there on your chest. That's better than a sheriff's badge in these parts.
Yeehaw?
Well, what you standing there for? Get along, little doggies. The crime scene's awaiting. Looks like the card reader's on again. While we're here, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions? Sorry, cowboy, but I got no mind to tangle with you hombres. You're busy then? Did I say that? I only said I didn't wish to speak with you. Actually, you said you had no mind to tangle with us hombres.
I was wondering if we could talk to you.
Sorry, Bambina, but I'm off to roam the lands like a tumbleweed on the wide prairie. Like a gunslinger loading his six-shooter, I say a little prayer.
What was that? I know about Mr. Wright.
I think he was just too hungry to talk.
You're just saying that because his stomach was growling. You have no idea what he was talking about either.
Well, in any case, we will be cracking on this investigation pronto. Well, I know how to fix the hungry part anyway. That smell. Reminds me of Texas.
So, Officer Marshall, you're from Texas?
Nope, I just saw a special on television the other day. Is this from my baby?
Yeah, Miss Starr.
Sis?
What? What's wrong?
Lay steak lunch. I see. I see.
I don't see. I wonder what it means.
Alright, Bambina, you win. Ask for anything. Finally, it seems like.
He's willing to talk! Officer Marshall, you're in charge of security for the evidence room, right?
You got good eyes, partner. It's an easy job, and I'm grateful for it. Actually, Officer Meekins at the detention center told us. Ah, that poor little doggy. Poor guy. I keep getting his name wrong and calling him Meekly. He told us something. He said that when the stabbing occurred, you weren't at your station. Well, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. But since I got demoted from detective 2 years ago, well, it might not look it, but I lost my fire for the job, you know.
So, what were you doing around 5:15 when the murder took place?
Well, I reckon I was galloping down the highway on the back of my steed, Zippy.
No, he was riding down the highway on his horse named Zippy.
No need for people here anyhow. These newfangled machines do a bang-up job of keeping an eye on the place. You mean the security camera system? I don't take to machines much. Kinda like that stewed broccoli they sneak in next to your steak, you know?
Miss Starr told us something. She said that you were a detective until 2 years ago.
It was always my dream to be a rawhide wrangler on the scene of the crime. And that's all gone now, like a drinking hole in a prairie fire.
You're still investigating the SL9 incident with Miss Starr, aren't you?
That was my case. It's all solved on the record books, but it smells like a bad game of poker. I can't let it go. And that's all there is to it.
What kind of case was it anyway? We've heard the name so many times, but no one tells us what actually happened.
There are some things you're better off not knowing, Bambina. Anyway, that case is officially dead as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago? The day of our case. That's right. The evidence transfer rolls. Edgeworth was talking about the transferals too. I know what maybe 2 of the machines in here do.
Only 2 of them? There must be a dozen.
Like I said, Bambina, me and machines, well, I like 'em about as much as I like stewed cauliflower with my steaks. The easiest ones to understand are these here security cameras. Those are the ones that Officer Meekins mentioned. Nothing happens. The tapes are automatically erased every few hours.
And Officer Meekins and Detective Goodman, are they on one of those tapes?
I reckon they might be. You're the security guard and you reckon? One more thing. When you go into the evidence room, you need an ID card. Thus the card reader by the door. The card reader leaves a record of every ID card that passes through. So this is the ID card record.
Hey, I've seen that somewhere before.
Sorry, Bambina. I can't show you more than that.
Huh?
I haven't heard whether this is related to the case yet.
Mr. Wright, I saw a number on that record just now. I've seen that number before.
Maybe there's some way I can prove that record is tied to the stabbing. Sorry, but could you explain what this whole transferal thing is about? We keep only evidence from solved cases in this room. They are kept here under the presiding detective's supervision for 2 years. So we can reinvestigate them if it turns out there was a mistake, see? So what happens to the evidence after 2 years? It goes to sleep forever in the underground vault at the county sheriff's department. And that's what we call transferal. We do it every February.
I see now.
Transferal is like a funeral for old cases. 2 years after a case is solved, it's closed forever. Dead. Never to be reopened again. Never to be reinvestigated. And that happened to SL9 2 days ago.
See this? This is the victim's ID card.
The one that was in the ground on the parking lot? The number on this is 5842189.
Officer Marshall, show us that ID card record again. Look, the 4th number. It's a perfect match.
It was used at 514, right before the stabbing. What's more, there's only one of them cards in the world.
So when the incident occurred, Detective Goodman was in the evidence room.
But wait, what did Officer Meekins say?
Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to display his ID card.
So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card? What did he do?
That's the thing! Suddenly he pointed a knife at me!
If he had his ID card then, why would he have pointed a knife at Officer Meekins? Alright, compadre, you win. I guess I can give you this ID card record. ID card record, yay. Notice that there's more than one number on there, some of which might be important later. I've got an idea. Maybe I should show this list to other people with IDs here. Alright, well. Since we can go into the evidence room now, let's do that. Evidence room, Sector 3. It's quiet. The investigation must be over here. Look at all the random junk in here. Are there any Easter eggs? There are some call forwards to some other stuff. There's a fishing pole in there that you get lent in one case. The thingy with the antennae down in the corner is actually a tracker. It's used to sweep for bugs, and that doesn't come into play for another couple of games. The car door, I don't think is a call to anything. I forget what else is in here.
So this is the evidence room. It really is kind of like a graveyard.
Graveyards are supposed to have grass and trees. This feels more like a morgue.
Nice try, Mr. Wright. You can't scare me.
Whoa!
Sorry, I thought you were a ghost.
I wouldn't recommend going around smacking ghosts on the head, pal. So, is it true what I heard? Righto, please. Do I look like a selfish man? Heck, if anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50? I'd give them $50, no problem. So go ahead, investigate that room to your heart's desire. Knock yourself out. Yeah, it's true. So, Chief of Police Gant, will loan anyone $50? Even me?
Oh, so that's what you were talking about.
Actually, I was put in charge of the investigation for today. Just for today?
Boss for a day.
Well, guess what? You got permission from the chief, so now you're boss for a day. Gee, thanks. First of all, you'll want to have this. Evidence room floor plans. Excellent.
So, Detective Gumshoe, you're boss for the day?
That's right. It's an honor. After all, the murder took place right here in the police department.
But if you're boss, why are you all alone? Where are your underlings?
They're using yesterday's finding to prepare for tomorrow's trial. In other words, you got kicked out of the investigation. Again. I'm adamant, though. I'm gonna take control and put this case to rest. And my own evidence locker, pal. You have a locker in here too, Detective Gumshoe? Haha, of course! I am a detective after all. They gave me a locker that only I can open, pal.
Only you can open?
I'll always believe in Mr. Edgeworth, no matter what happens.
So, Mr. Edgeworth is with the inquiry committee right now, right?
They're trying to figure out who's responsible for the mess up in court today. I see. I guess this is what you call fate. Mr. Edgeworth just can't get away from that case. That case? Yeah, that case! The SL9 incident, of course. That was the beginning of the end for Mr. Edgeworth. Maybe we can get him to tell us more about the case. This place is more high-tech than you might think. Every locker is fixed so that only one detective can open it. Using their ID card? Well, that's the thing, pal. ID cards can be lost. Why, I'm on my third card since entering the force already.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, but even I can't lose my own right hand.
Right hand? Oh, you mean your fingerprint?
Exactly, pal. The lock for each locker is coded with a fingerprint. So the only locker we can open is our own.
Funny, they look like normal lockers.
These are the latest model. There's a trick to the handle, see?
The handles?
On the other side of the handle is a sensor, and if the wrong person touches it,
Zap! You get a shock!
if that's what happened, my hand would be black and smoking every day. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. I'd like to note that this particular game and this bonus case came out before those little fingerprint scanners were ubiquitous on phones and laptops. So, a little bit of prescience. A lot of the tech here is very, very mixed. Like, everyone still has flip phones, and all the monitors you see on desks are CRTs, but there's also some fairly sophisticated stuff in evidence. I guess Phoenix never really progresses past, like, 2003. Let's ask Gumshoe. Not this guy. Detective Goodman's note and that switchblade knife. I bet Edgeworth was the most surprised of anyone. Because of the SL9 connection? That was Mr. Edgeworth's first big case, you know, 2 years ago. That was the first time the world knew Edgeworth was a man to be feared. But why would evidence from that case turn up now? I guess it's not over, pal. Maybe there are some loose ends left on that case. Now that was a bloody, violent case. Violent? So it was a murder. Serial killing. Serial killing. Maybe I don't want to get involved in this after all. But the killer made a mistake, and Mr. Edgeworth built his case around that to nab him.
And this was 2 years ago?
That put Mr. Edgeworth right in the spotlight, and started the rumor mill. Rumors? About forged evidence? It was supposed to be all cleaned up with the transferal the other day. It was the last job he ever did. Detective Goodman, that is.
Huh? What do you mean?
Detective Goodman was the detective in charge of the SL9 incident, see?
So that switchblade knife.
The victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself? Or the victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself? Ah. Could you take a look at this? This is the ID card record of the people who came in here on the day of the stabbing. Ah, heard the rumors. So it was Goodman who came in here at the time of the murder. Whoa!
What is it?
That second number. It's not your ID number, is it, Detective Gumshoe? Mr. Edgeworth!
What?
The second number on this list belongs to Mr. Edgeworth.
What? What?
Why would Edgeworth have come to the evidence room? Side note, of course Gumshoe memorized Edgeworth's ID number. Gumshoe idolizes Edgeworth. Alright, let's take a look at the room. There's something sticking out of here.
Looks like a shirt. I guess it must be evidence for some case.
I wonder if Detective Gumshoe put this here. There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of slob.